You ever have your piece flop and you think, oh God, it's trash? Well, sometimes it really is trash, but other times you can save it. I wouldn't recommend selling it if this happens to you, but you can use it for yourself, and sometimes it turns out really cute. But first, coffee.
I love making these pedestal bowls. They're really fun and they're really cute in the end. They have a small pedestal on the bottom and then they're a large bowl. They work really great for a catch-all or a fruit bowl in the end. But sometimes they do flop. Having such a small base and then going wide like that causes a really weak area right in between where the base is and the bowl flares out. So this one I decided to save. I decided to make it. It flopped, and then I thought I'd save it. Just dry it out, trim it. When you do this, generally you still will have that weak area where it did flop. So I don't suggest ever selling these bowls, but you can keep them for yourself or give them away as a gift to a friend. They are a fun bowl, even if it flops. So here I am. I have this all centered. I'm compressing the bottom. Compressing is very controversial among potters. Some say that if you don't do this, you'll get an S-crack. Others say that it doesn't matter. In my opinion, when you do this, it's more about making equal distance of clay, making it so you don't have any thinner spots of clay at the base. I think it's the thinner spots is where it gets weak and it dries faster and then it splits apart. So I always compress just really more to get all of that clay equal. So I've got equal walls for my thickness. Now I do that donut pull. That very first pull for me is the donut pull. Using my left hand in that C position. My thumb was down at the base and my fingers are on the inside of the piece. I pull up, my sponge is in the right hand, sitting on the rim. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom. My outside hand creates that indent right there at the base. And then I'm going to pull that clay up until I can feel the inside hand. Both hands together will go all the way to the rim. Since this is going to be a bowl, I am starting to flare out at the very beginning. I want this bowl really flared, just to have a great large opening. Kind of wipe my hands off. I want to keep them wet. I don't want too much water because that is one of the main reasons these collapse. You want less water, but you still want your hand to be gliding across the clay smoothly. You don't want any catching. So I'm going to create that indent at the base again, pulling up, and then both hands are going to go together as soon as they can, all the way to the rim. My hands are going very slow. My wheel is at a medium speed. As it goes out more, we're going to slow that wheel down. If your wheel is going too fast, it's going to collapse right away. So if I would have gone slower at the beginning of this, and carried on with the slower speed, this bowl probably would have survived. But I'm going to do another pull here, pushing in at the base, going up. Want both hands together, straight across from each other. Right now they're not touching just because my hands aren't large enough to touch from the bottom all the way over the rim. Once they can, you'll see my thumb of my left hand will come off of that and go right onto the right hand so that I have got both hands touching. You can see that my arms are tucked into my body as tight as I can keep them. That's going to just keep it so I'm not swaying with the clay. I'm keeping my hands nice and stable. This is going to help a lot. You're going to always want your arms tucked in, at least one of them. Make sure you're getting that 3 points. Your hands together, your elbows together are touching your body. So get the water out of the bottom. I try to do this with every single pull. Well, before every pull. Get the water out, and then I love these ribs. This rib would be a great thing. I should have probably started with this just to keep it nice and firm, but using that rib, I'm going to push out and create a nice, more of a rounded shape than this shape that I have right now. It's very bead, and I'd like it to be more round. So I'm going to push out with that rib and get more of that shape that I'm looking for. Making sure your outside hand is the support system here. It's really out there just to support so it doesn't collapse. So as you can see here, it is getting weak. It is getting ready to collapse. Here in a minute, we will lose it. You'll see right about here, it's starting to fall down, right where the base and the sides are connecting. It is slowly going. And now it is down. There is no way of taking that clay and pulling it back up, keeping it upright. Even if you take a rib over it and try to put it back, it's just going to be a disaster. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. Really, I would suggest at this point just taking it and throwing it in your reclaim bucket. But not today. We are going to save this baby. I'm going to take that bat and flip it upside down. You see here, I never cut it off, so it's still well connected right there. I'm going to dry it upside down. So I'm going to find a spot that I can just prop it up. So I'm kind of looking around, where the heck am I going to prop it? And my shelf right there is a perfect spot. Generally, I'll take maybe 2 posts and prop it on those, but the way those sides were, it just didn't work. Now I've waited a couple days. It's nice and firm and it's ready to be trimmed. I dried it the entire time upside down. I never cut it off the bat. So now it's pliable enough that I can kind of move it and get it into the shape that I want it. After I do this, I'm going to do a little trimming down at the base. So I'm just kind of looking at it and trying to figure out what areas I would like to remove. And I know that the base always has extra clay. The walls of this really don't. It's nice and thin already. Anything with an uneven rim is really nice to be able to trim upside right. So instead of flipping it, you can just trim it on the bat, and this makes it a lot easier. Once you get any weight off that you're not liking, or you just want to have it balanced out, then you're going to do some of the more decorative pieces. So I have this knife. I have this awesome butter knife here. It's got some little grooves cut out of it, and I use it right at the base to create a foot. It makes it easier than using a trimming tool down there. You could use a trimming tool, and I know a lot of companies sell a little wooden rib that does the same thing. I like my little butter knife, but you can use whatever works for you. After I do this, I like to take my trimming tool and create a couple lines around it just to give it a little bit more texture. Sometimes I'll carve in that so I have a nice carved base, but this one didn't really call for that. I thought some lines would just look better. And of course, I have to have some coffee in between. So get another drink, and then I'm thinking the base. I love these squiggle wires. They look so good to just give the bottom a little bit of texture when you're not going to trim it. So I just hold on to it tight, just like a regular cutoff wire, and then I kind of do a curve with one hand, and that's going to give the base or the bottom of your piece just a nice texture down there. Sometimes you want to tap it to make sure that you don't have an uneven base, but this works well to just give it something extra. So got that. I clean up my edges because I don't want anything sharp, and since I'm not trimming it upside down, I have more of a chance of having little sharp edges. So I take my thumb and just kind of rub anything out that I think could be a problem. And now I've got this nice shape that I like, but I think that it needs some cutouts in it. So I'm going to grab a cookie cutter and just press some designs all the way through it. So here's my cookie cutter, and I'm just going to go to town. I'm going to cut out as many little pieces that I can. This isn't going to hold much, but maybe a few apples. It's still going to be super cute sitting there. So there we go. We've got our cute little bowl that was a flop that could have been reclaimed and created something new with it, but instead we've got this cute little fruit bowl. I'm happy with it. It's going to be adorable once it's all glazed. It's going to look fabulous.